Hi guys, my name is Katie, and today I'm going to teach you how to make the official Army Bracelet version 2, but this one is a different method. Wow, I almost knocked my table over for real. So the last one, you just knotted the strings, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But this one you gotta weave, and you gotta think, and my brain started smoking more than the last video, so I don't know. This one came out looking really good though, so I got one more thing to say. Hannah made this design and I like her for that, and you should like her too for that. Go love her. Alright, let's get going.
Okay, so the strings you'll be using is one white spool, and you're going to leave that connected throughout the whole thing. You're not going to cut it or anything, and one purple spool, and as well you're not going to be cutting it. But you will have 11 bass strings. I used 6 white and 5 purple. And then for the length of the string, I used about my wingspan for the bass strings. And once again, you're just going to leave the purple and that white string in the spool throughout the whole thing so you have enough string for the bracelet. And then you're just going to put your dark purple and your white string in with your bass strings, and then knot them all together and then tape it to your table or your surface that you're using. Okay, and to start your bracelet, we're going to do triangle ends. I showed you guys how to do this in the last version 2 tutorial, but I'll show you guys again. You just take out a string on each side and then leave the bunch in the middle. You're going to do 2 forward knots on the first string, 2 forward knots in the middle on the whole bunch, and then 2 forward knots on the last one. Okay, and you're just going to repeat that and then take out another string on each side. And then you're going to do backwards knots on each string and then the bunch in the middle. So then there's 2 on that string. 1 backward knot. And 2 backward knots. And then you're going to do 2 on the middle. And then 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And you're just going to repeat that same step. Distribute 1 string on each side. And I did half like white and half purple. I kind of sectioned it off into like 2 sides just to keep myself more organized. But continue doing forward knots on each of these strings, 2 on each string, and then 2 on the bunch in the middle. Okay, and then once again distribute 1 string onto each side, and then you're going to do backwards knots, 2 on each string and 2 on the bunch in the middle. Okay, and this is where your pattern will technically start. You're going to distribute those last 2 strings out and then the one in the middle. And then you're just going to do forward knots all the way down the whole row. And as you can see on the right upper hand corner, we're doing the very first row. It's just forward purple knots. Okay, and just a helpful tip, you don't have to do this, but I really like tethering my strings down at the ends just so that it's not a crazy knotted mess whenever I'm doing this bracelet because there's just so many strings. So I'm just kind of straightening them all out and kind of lining them up the way that they're in order, and then I'm going to tape them down at the very end like that. Okay, and now we are on the second row of the pattern. So you're going to just bring your white string, your pattern string, all the way over to the right hand side and get it out of the way because you won't need that quite yet. So first knot is purple going backwards, and you're going to do that twice. And here's the harder part. So this is where we switch colors. You're going to go under the work that you just did and over your other pattern string that you're switching out. And you keep that down whenever you're knotting it so it doesn't get all bunched up. And now you're going to pick up the string that you're wanting to knot and go backwards knot and tie it up. And whenever I'm knotting it, I'm holding down the other pattern string just so that they're kind of fusing together instead of bunching up. And then you're going to do your next string. And as you can see, there are 9 white knots going across, going backwards. Okay, now you're approaching your very last string, and we're going to be switching back over to purple for the last knot. You're going to go under all the work. First, you're going to go over that last string that you did with purple, under all the work that you just did, and then over the other pattern string that you're switching out. And then you're going to knot that string that the last string that you're knotting. And you're going to go backwards knot, hold down the pattern string, and then do it once more, and boom. Okay, and on to the next row. These are all going to be forward knots. So your first knot's going to be a forward purple knot, and then your next one is going to be also a forward purple knot. And just get that other white pattern string out of the way because you do not want to knot anything onto that. Here's your second purple knot. And now we're going to do 7 forward white knots. So we're going to switch over to white. So bring that white string back over. And since the last row we did a white knot right there, go underneath that one that you already knotted. And then knot the next one. And make sure you go over that purple string. And continue on with the white knots going forward. Okay, and you're about to approach your last 2 purple knots. And we're going to switch over back to purple. So you're going to go underneath all the work that you just did with the purple string. Bring it under. And then go over the white pattern string. And then knot your next knot. Make sure you hold down that other pattern string. Okay, and down to the next row, you have 3 backwards purple knots starting off. This whole row is going to be backwards knots. And then just try to ignore that pattern string that's kind of in the way. You don't want to knot anything out of that. Now you're going to switch over to white, because you have 5 white knots in the middle going backwards. Go underneath that 1 string, and then go over the purple string. And then make a backwards knot. And then once again. And then you're switched over to white now. And now you're going to do your 4 other white knots going backwards. Okay, and fun fact, I actually made a little bit of a mistake right here. I did 3 knots. See, look, I'm like, oh no. I did 3 knots instead of 2, so I'm going to show you how to undo that. I just take a tack. I just take it out. It's pretty easy. And then you're just going to unstring the whole thing. That 1 knot. And then there you go. If you ever do too many knots, it's really not that big of a deal, but it'll make it look a little bulky. Just undo it with something sharp, and then you're good to go. Okay, and now we are over to our 3 last purple knots. You're going to go underneath all the work, and then over your other pattern string, and then make the knot. And now you're switched over to purple. And then you're going to do another. And then the last backwards purple knot. Okay, and we're on to the next row, and once again I found another unwanted knot, so I'm just going to take my handy dandy tack right here and just unstring that bad boy, and bye bye. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, starting on the next row, you have a whole row of forward purple knots. So easy, my favorite rows out of the entire pattern. I love it. This is actually my first time making a woven alpha bracelet like this. It's kind of stressful, so like we're all kind of in the same boat right now. Okay, and on to the next row, you have 3 backwards purple knots. Also, if you're wondering about my purple pattern string, I'm not having that plastic ring around it anymore. It totally like flew off of there, so I tied it with another white string just to keep it all held together so it didn't absolutely let loose, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so switching to white, go underneath all that work, and then you're gonna go over that dark purple string. Okay, I've left the chat. My mind is broken. Just go over the dark purple string. Okay, she's trying to figure something. She just needs some help. Okay. Yes, go over dark purple string, and then knot that next string. You got it, Katie. Wow. Alright. I told you guys, I'm still trying to figure this out. Like, wow, this is some hard stuff. We are in this together. And just keep going with those backwards white knots until you hit the last 3 strings, and then you will go backwards purple knots. Alright, looks like we're about to switch over to dark purple for those last 3 backwards knots. So go underneath all that work, and then over that pattern string so you can switch them out, and then backwards knot that string. And now you have 2 more. And there you go. Okay, on to the next row. It looks like we have 2 forward purple knots. And now we're going to switch over to white. So we can do those 7 white knots going forward. So you're going to take your pattern string and go under that 1 white string that you need to go under. And then go over your purple string. But make sure to only knot the white string. And then you got 6 more white forward knots to do. Okay, it looks like you're about to go underneath all your work with your purple string, and then over the other pattern string. Oh, looks like I missed one. Go under that one. There we go, and then over your pattern string. And simply knot that 1 purple string. And make sure you hold down the other pattern string just so it's tight. And then your last one. Okay, on to the next row. It looks like you have 1 backward purple knot, and then you will be switching straight over to white. So find your white string and then go under that 1 string. And I'm kind of upset that I did this, but I started experimenting a little bit after I had that moment where I completely left the chat. I decided, hey, I don't even need to go over this purple string. In certain instances, it's really hard to explain. I really wish I wouldn't have done this because now I have to explain myself and I don't want to confuse you guys. So, I mean, it works out, but I don't want you guys to get messed up. So, I don't know. Just try to, okay, I don't know. I'm so sorry. Just keep going with your backwards white knots and just totally forget about all the crazy stuff that I'm doing. Just keep doing what I've been showing you. Don't worry about it. I'm freaking nuts, okay? I'm sorry. You're just gonna do backwards white knots, okay? And you're about to switch over to purple. So you're going to take your purple string and bring it underneath all the work that you left off from. And now you're going to go over your white pattern string. See, I'm okay with this. I don't know what it is about going over the purple string, but the white string is fine. And then knot that twice. I really wish I had an explanation for all my craziness. Okay, anyway, next row. And we're very happy we turned into a seal because this is just a forward purple knot row. And we don't have to use our broken brain bones for this. We can just go purple knots all the way, because that's what we love to do. Okay, on to the next row. And you have 3 backwards purple knots. And now we're going to switch over to white. So you're going to bring your white underneath all that work that you left off from. And of course, we're going to leave that purple string out because we don't even want to touch it. It's like the plague. You don't want to touch that purple string. For some reason, I don't know why, what's wrong. It's a cursed purple string. It's fine when we're going over the white string, but definitely not the purple string. So, backwards white knots for only 3 knots. Okay, now we're going to switch back over to purple. Go underneath all that work that you just did. And now you're going to go over that white string and knot it. And then the rest of the way you'll just have backwards purple knots. Okay, next row, and it looks like you have 4 forward purple knots. Okay, and now you're going to switch to white, and you're just going to pull that white string underneath all of your wonderful work, that one string. Wow, so much work. And don't even touch that purple string. Don't even think about it. I'm kidding, guys. Do whatever you feel comfortable with. And then you have 4 forward white knots. And then you're going to switch back over to purple, so pull it underneath all that work, and then over the white string. And then you have 3 forward purple knots. Okay, on to the next row. It looks like you have 3 backwards purple knots. And now you're switching over to white, so you can just go straight into it. And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white knots going backwards. Okay, and now you're going to switch over to purple. Bring that purple underneath all your work, over your white pattern string, and then knot the next string. You're going to do 3 backwards purple knots. Okay, on to the next row. You just have 2 forward purple knots. And then you're going to switch over to white. And just bring it underneath that string. And then you have 5 forward white knots. Okay, and now you're going to switch to purple. So put it underneath all that work. Go over your white pattern string. And then you have 4 forward purple knots from there. Okay, on to the next row. It looks like you have 3 backwards purple knots. Okay, and you're switching over to white, so just go underneath that one, and then do a backwards knot, and then you will do 5 white backward knots. Okay, and you're going to go underneath all your work with the purple, over the white pattern string, and then from there you will do your 3 backwards purple knots. Okay, on to the next row. You have 4 forward purple knots. Okay, and then you will be switching over to white after this. So just go underneath that one white string. And then from here, you will have 4 forward white knots. Okay, and just put your purple string underneath all that work over the white string, and then you will have 3 forward purple knots. Okay, on to the next row, you have 3 backwards purple knots. Okay, now you're switching over to white, and you will have 3 backwards white knots. Okay, now you're going to switch back over to purple, go underneath your work, over your pattern string, and then you will have 5 backwards purple knots. Okay, on to the next row. Oh my gosh, thank goodness. It's just a whole row of forward purple knots. Okay, on to the next row. You just have 3 backwards purple knots. Okay, so now you're going to switch back over to white. So go underneath those strings. And then you will do 5 backwards white knots. Okay, and now you're going to switch back over to purple, so go underneath those strings, and then over the white pattern string, and then you will have 3 purple backward knots. Okay, on to the next row, you have 2 forward purple knots. And then switching over to white, go under that one string, and you will have 7 forward white knots. Okay, switching back over to purple, go underneath all your work, over the white pattern string, and then you will have 2 forward purple knots. Okay, on to the next row, 1 backwards purple knot. And then you're going to move over to white, So go under that 1 string and then do 9 backwards white knots. Okay, and then switch back over to purple. Go underneath all of your work. And then over the white pattern string. And then 1 backwards purple knot. Okay, next row is just forward purple knots. Okay, next row, you have 1 backwards purple knot and then 9 backwards white knots. So go underneath all your work and then begin doing your backwards white knots. Okay, and for your last string, bring that purple bundle underneath all your work over your white pattern string and then do 1 backwards purple knot. Okay, for your next row, you just have 2 forward purple knots. And then 7 forward white knots. So go under that 1 string. Okay, and we're about to switch over to purple. So go underneath all your work, then over the white pattern string, and then 2 forward purple knots. Okay, next row, you have 3 backwards purple knots. And then switching over to white, go underneath that 1 string, and then you will have 5 backwards white knots. Okay, and then switching over to purple, go underneath all of your work, over the white pattern string, And then you'll have 3 backwards purple knots. Ah, yes! It's the last row. Just do forward purple knots until the end of time. Are you guys doing okay? I'm almost losing my mind, but I'm fine. Are you guys doing okay? Please let me know in the comments below. Okay, now we're gonna do another triangle and get that silly white string out of the way. We're never gonna use her again. Just shove her up in the corner. Put her up in the corner. So put 3 strings in the middle. We're gonna distribute back into the middle and end this crazy bracelet. It's cute though. So just backwards purple knots on each string. And then do the middle. There's 3 strings in the middle right now. Okay, now you're going to do the same strategy again. Distribute back in the middle. Put 2 more strings back in the middle. Get rid of that stupid white string. Shove it up in the corner. We do not want to use it ever again. Okay, we're doing forward knots on these strings. And then do a big ol' forward knot on the big ol' middle bundle. Okay, now you're going to do that same thing again. Put 2 more strings back in the middle. And now you're going to do backwards knots. And then do that whole middle bundle. Okay, now put 2 more strings back in the middle. Now you're just going to have 1 string on each side on the outside of the bundle. You're going to do forwards knots on this one. Okay, and now you're just going to put all of them together and just do knots. I did 2 backwards and 2 forwards just to kind of even it out because it was a little lopsided at first. Okay, and now you're just going to take those 2 pattern strings and, you know, kind of gather them all together, all the strings together, and untape that girl. And now you're going to big knot all of these strings, including the pattern strings. I should have cut this stuff off before I started knotting, but whatever, it don't even matter. Alright, she really cute. Now I'm just going to cut a bunch of that excess off. And I'm going to put some charms on her too. Like I said last time, I wanted to put charms on the version 2 bracelet. And I just didn't have the time. So, tip for putting on charms. I lick the ends and make them real sharp and pointy. It gets those charms on really good. Especially with like thick strands like this. It's so hard to put it on there if you don't have anything to stiffen it. So I'm just putting these charms in between the knots. I'm gonna make it like the army bracelet strands. You know what I'm saying. It's cute. And now I'm gonna lick it again. Ha! So putting this charm on here. I used kind of like a pearl charm and then some stars. I think it's really pretty. And we're putting this on. And once again, we're going to go in between the knots instead of on the knots. Because I felt like since these knots are so chunky with this bracelet, the charms would have gotten like crooked and twisted really easily. So I was like, I'm just going to put them in between. It's whatever. So I did 3 on that side. And now I'm going to cut off the wet slobbery string, and I'm going to cut off some more excess because that one was just super long. Also, staggering the strings like that, what I just did, really helps with putting those charms on, along with getting the strings wet. Cute little star, and just jail her in. She ain't coming off. Okay, then the next charm. Put that girl on there. And lock her in. So that's 3 knots so far. I think. Yeah. Sorry guys, it's really late right now. This voiceover is just a little bit agonizing. I'm just trying to keep my eyes open, you feel me? So I did 4 knots on that side. 3 plus 4 equals 7. And that's what I'm going for the 7 members. Also, I'm going to put an adjustment on here. Oh my gosh, I did literally everything on this bracelet. This is the everything bracelet. Like the everything bagel with like all the stuff on it. It's the everything bracelet. Oh yeah, anyway, sorry, I keep forgetting I have to like talk about what I'm doing. So, yeah, I made a knot, and before I knotted it tight, I put the other side into the knot so that it makes a little slidey. And I also made a tutorial for that you can find on our channel. And now I'm just going to do some tassel girls, and I put some beads on the end and knot that in. And make sure that bead does not slide off. And tassel her. She cute. And put the bead on and knot it in. And try to get it as close as you can to the other side, just so it looks visually appealing. Make sure that bead does not slide off, and trim it so it looks all pretty and cute. Cute, 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 cute. And like I said, I made a tutorial for the adjustment on our channel. I'm sorry I didn't go into great detail on that. I just love this bracelet. I worked so hard on it, guys. I am so restless. But wow, she is stunning. And look at her cute little beads. I love the white on there. It looks so classy and pretty. Oh wow, she is iced out in army. I swear, if you guys don't notice me now, Alright, okay. Good night. I am going to bed now.